Hello and welcome to this Unified Communication Self-Training class, GCS level. My name is Ilyas Namran and I'm a Regional Product Engineer here at Grandstream EMEA. I'm in charge of the Unified Communication and Collaboration Solution. And in this class, we're going to look at all the unified communication features that we offer with our UCM PBXs. So without further ado, let's get into this class. In this class, I'm going to introduce mostly Grandstream Network's unified communication features, which are quite many, and we will try to explain each one of them separately. I am going to follow the agenda you are seeing. I'm going to start with SIP presence, instant messaging, voicemail management, device management, announcement feature, IVR, call recording, and then we'll move to multimedia meeting, emergency calls, pickup group, paging and intercom, operator panel, announcement center. Then we'll move to follow me feature, call flip, distinctive ringtones, speed dial, dial by name, busy camp-on, DISA, call back, ring group, call center features, fax services, wake up service, shared call appearance, and we'll talk also about CDR. As you can see, so many features are supported by the UCM. And in this class, I will try to introduce each one of them and give you the most basic details about these features. And before I start, I need to remind you that for each one of these features, we have guides on our website describing the configuration and all the needed details. Let's start with SIP presence. The UCM 6000 is now offering the ability to subscribe to extensions state and to be informed about the current presence status of a coworker phone extension. SIP presence can provide ability to be informed about user's extension when it's offline or online, like a busy lamp. But that's just the start. Users can also use presence to share their status and tell the other that they are out of the office, on chat, or do not want to be disturbed, and so on. If the user does not have web access, the presence feature can be accessible using a feature code, and users can dial this code to get the corresponding voice prompt with various options in order to choose which presence status they want to put themselves into, then follow the instructions to confirm the setting. The default used feature code for presence feature is *48. Users can access and edit this feature code from the web GUI. When dialing presence feature code, users also have 6 available states. Below is the order you get on voice prompt when dialing the feature code. The first one is available. The contact is online and can participate in conversations and phone calls. Away means that the contact is currently away, for example, for a lunch break. Chat, the contact has limited conversation flexibility and can only be reached via chat. Do not disturb, the contact is on DND. Custom presence status. In this case, the user must enter the presence status for this mode on the web GUI or on Wave. For unavailable, the contact is unreachable at that specific moment and should be contacted later. Now we're going to talk about instant messaging that is supported on all the models of UCM 6000 series. You need to know that UCM models with *13th and higher provide built-in SIP instant messaging support. This is basically supported when using SIP and devices that support SIP messages such as Grandstream GRP, GXP or GXP phones, and of course after a UCM SIP account is registered on the device, the user can send and receive SMS messages then. Now we're going to move and talk about voicemail management. Voicemail is a voice message that a caller leaves when the person called is absent or busy on another call. The called person can check the stored voice message later using 3 methods. Dialing voicemail feature code. If the voicemail is enabled for the UCM 6000 extensions, the user can dial the voicemail access number. By default, it's *97 to access their extension's voicemail. The users will be prompted to enter the voicemail password and then can enter digits from phone keypad to navigate the IVR menu for different options. Otherwise, the user can dial the voicemail access code. By default, it's *98 followed by the extension number and password to access that specific extension's voicemail. Receiving voicemail via email. Users can configure to send the voicemail as attachment to email. Accessing user portal. Users can access their voicemail from the user portal for each one of the extensions. Users can also listen, delete messages, or even change the voicemail prompts. And please note that 1 hour the voicemail is the limit of each voicemail, and it occupies around 5 megabytes. Now we're going to talk about device management. Device management is a UCM 6300 series feature that allows the UCM to interact with security cameras and facility access management devices using either Wave or Grandstream SIP endpoints. The admin can choose which extensions are allowed to interact with these devices. Allowed users can also include these devices in multimedia meetings, and all the meetings participants will be able to see the video feed from these devices. Our facility access solution, the GDS 7300 series, can also be integrated with the UCM 6300 series. If a GDS has been added as a device to the UCM will initiate a call once the doorbell has rung to perform GDS-related actions. Now we move on to announcement feature. The announcements feature, not to be confused with announcement paging and announcement center, is a feature that allows users to set an unskippable audio file to play to callers before routing them to a configured destination. Announcements can be configured as a destination in the inbound routes page or in the IVR. The file size must be less than 5 megabytes. If uploading a compressed file, the file name must contain only letters, numbers, or special characters. The file size must be less than 30 megabytes. Now we move on to another important feature, which is the IVR. IVR, Interactive Voice Response, is a telephony technology in telecom industry, allowing customers to interact with the host system in real time through a configurable voice menu using callers' DTMF tones. When accessing IVR system, customers are usually prompted with a welcome message and provided with different destinations where they can be redirected by pressing appropriate digits. Using the UCM 6000 series, administrators can create up to 500 IVR systems. There is no limitation of IVR layers that can be created on the UCM 6000 series, with some interesting features such as prompts on IVR can be customized and personalized at customers' convenience by either recording or uploading new prompts. If you are uploading the prompt, it should be a PCM encoded file under 5 megabytes. IVR system supports multiple languages in order for the customers to select a specific language to be used when playing prompts. IVR can be configured to be accessible during office time and choose another one accessible out of office time, for instance. Other time periods can be configured like holidays or maintenance. And as we have said before, the IVR layers are limitless. Incoming calls to the UCM 6000 can be pointed to reach IVR, used as auto-attended with or without a receptionist, and then the customers will be able to select the destination to reach by simple key press. You can have many destination types configured for IVR, and I listed on the slide all the available options that can be assigned on key pressing events. It can be extension, voicemail, meeting room, voicemail group, IVR, ring group, queues, page group, fax, custom prompt, hang up, DISA, dial by name, external number, callback, and announcement. Let's talk now about the IVR black and white list, which is basically an option that allows users to restrict the extensions that can be reached from the IVR. If the user selects blacklist enable and adds extensions in the list, the extensions in the list will not be allowed to be reached via IVR. However, if the user selects whitelist enable and adds extensions in the list, only the extensions in the list can be allowed to be reached via IVR. In some scenarios, the IP-PBX administrator needs to restrict the extensions that can be reached from IVR. For example, the company CEO and the directors prefer only receiving calls transferred by the secretary. Some special extensions are on IP surveillance endpoints, which shouldn't be reached from external calls via IVR for privacy reasons. UCM supports blacklist and whitelist in IVR settings for users to manage this, and it has up to 500 extensions that can be allowed or blocked. Now we're going to talk about call recording. The UCM allows users to record audio during the call with a memory usage of 55 megabytes for about 1 hour call recording. If auto record is turned on for extension or trunk, the call will be automatically recorded when there is established call with the extension or trunk, or simply you can start the recording manually. You also should note that recording may require memory when the business call load is important. For this reason, users can either use USB flash drive connected directly to the UCM or a network-attached storage. NAS storage or network-attached storage is supported to be integrated with the UCM for recording storing purposes, as well as it can be used as a backup and restore location for the UCM configuration. And now we'll talk about a very powerful and important feature, which is multimedia meeting. The UCM 6000 models support video meeting, allowing a bunch of people to participate in a video call. And of course, the number of rooms and participants in each one of the video meetings depend on the models used. And it is easy to create, schedule, manage, and join video meeting calls using our UCM models. And as you can see in the slide, the number of video meeting rooms that we can have at the same time, as well as the number of participants, change from a UCM model to another. For example, we can only have one video meeting room on all the models of the UCM 6200 series and the 6510. For example, we can only have one video meeting room on all the models of the UCM 6200 series and the UCM 6510. And the number of participants who can join, we have 8 participants for the UCM 6200 series and 14 for the UCM 6510. And among those participants, we can have up to 4 video feeds, one with Full HD and the other with QVGA resolution. While for UCM 6301, we have 4 video meeting rooms with up to 20 participants. For the UCM 63N2, it supports 4 video meeting rooms with up to 30 participants. For the UCM 63N4, up to 8 meeting rooms with up to 60 participants. And for the UCM 6308, with up to 10 video meeting rooms and up to 80 participants. And regarding the resolution, we'll have 4 video feeds and 1 screen sharing with Full HD. Audio Meeting Bridge allows to have multiple people in a single call, and the number of meeting bridges as well as the number of participants in the meeting depends on the model of the UCM. And on the table, we have Voice Meeting Bridge limit, and we also have Participants limit. For the UCM 6202 and 6204, we have a limit of 3 bridges, and for the participants limits, we have 25. For the UCM 6208, we have 6 for the bridge limit, and for participants limit, we have 32. For the UCM 6510, it supports up to 8 bridges with 64 participants. For the UCM 6301, with 3 bridges and up to 75 participants. For the UCM 6302, we have 8 bridges with up to 150. For the UCM 6304, we have 15 with up to 200 participants. For the UCM 6308, we have 25 bridge limit with up to 300 participants. For the UCM 6300 audio, we have 3 bridges with up to 50 participants. For the UCM 63N2 audio, we have 5 with up to 75 participants. For the UCM 6304 audio, we have up to 7 bridges with 120. And for the UCM 6308 audio, we have 9 with up to 150. The UCM models support some features that will help users to have a great conferencing experience when hosting a meeting. First, we have public or private. Users can enable public mode to avoid authentication when joining the conference call. Also, users configure an admin password for the meeting room, but if the public mode is enabled, the password won't be required anymore. For recording option, users can enable auto record option to automatically record the meeting in a WAV format file. 8 hours is the maximum duration of a meeting hosted through the UCM. Bridging multiple meetings, which we have explained in the previous slide. Caller menu. If enabled, the meeting participants could press the star key to access the meeting room menu. User invite. If enabled, users could press 0 to invite other users with the invited user's permission, or press 1 to invite other users without the invited user's permission to join the meeting. Contact group users can now quickly invite multiple participants at once to a meeting via meeting contact groups. Up to 5 contact groups can be created. The maximum allowed number of contacts per group is based on the UCM model's meeting participant limit, as we have seen before. The UCM 6000 supports multiple meeting bridges between different meeting rooms, remote or local, to essentially bridge 2 meeting rooms together to reduce the bandwidth. As an example, we have UCM-A and UCM-B, which are connected via SIP peer trunk, and each one of them is in a different location. On the UCM-A's web UI, the administrator can directly invite a meeting room on the UCM-B to connect to the UCM-A meetings room, essentially bridging 2 meeting rooms together. UCM now supports Google Open Authentication 2.0, which is the industry standard protocol for authentication. This feature is used for supporting UCM meeting scheduling system. Once Open Authentication 2.0 is enabled, the UCM meeting system can access Google Calendar to mark or update the time and date of the meeting. After the user enables Google Calendar setting, under Google Service Support, meeting scheduling can synchronize with Google Calendar for authorized Google accounts. Statistics are very important to keep track of everything happening in your server. And for meetings, we have the statistics that will show you all the relevant information of the previously hosted meetings. Meeting, which is the conference extension. Start time, which is the exact time when the meeting has started. Time is the total duration of the meeting. Users can also get information about which extensions joined the meeting, like it's shown on the screenshot. The UCM 6000 extension can now dial into IP video talk meetings by creating a peer trunk to an IPVT server. Users need to follow some steps to configure this feature. Basically, these steps include creating the peer trunk from the UCM to the IP video talk server, and from the IP video talk server to the UCM. Enable the option IPVT mode, as you can see from the screenshot, and create the necessary outbound routes for the trunk. You also should remember that you cannot connect IP video talk account with multiple UCM, since IPVT accounts can only have one SIP trunk peer to it. Now we're going to talk about emergency calls. For emergency calls, the UCM 6000 series comply with the standards that the FCC has mandated following Carrie's Law and Raybaum's Act. Carrie's Law was passed in 2018 in direct response to the tragic murder of Carrie Hunt in 2013 by her estranged husband in a hotel room. During the attack, Carrie's 9-year-old daughter tried to call 911 many times and was unsuccessful in reaching emergency services due to not knowing that she had to dial 9 to reach an outside line before calling 911. This led to the legislation of Carrie's Law mandating that all PBX manufacturers should give emergency numbers a higher priority, and that once they are dialed, the call should be immediately routed to the public safety answering point, bypassing any additional line number that should be dialed before the emergency number. For Raybaum's Act, it's an act that mandates that location information is sent to the public safety answering point when the emergency call had been initiated. This information can include the street, building number, floor number, and room number for hotels. This makes it easier for the first responders to locate where the emergency is exactly happening in case where the caller couldn't provide this information during the call. Emergency calls on the UCM can be configured to have higher priority than regular calls and can be categorized depending on the emergency service called, as well as the possibility to notify related personnel about the situation, like guards and first aid. The UCM provides various tools to ensure that emergency calls can always go through to the intended destination and that important information is relayed in the process so the fast responders can deal as quickly as possible with it. The UCM also supports configuration of management of numbers and outbound routes used in emergency situations. Outbound calls can be set to bypass the regular outbound call routing process and dial out for emergency help through redundant trunks in the event all lines are busy or down. In addition to that, emergency calls can be set to be recorded automatically once an emergency number is being called. And next, we're going to talk about Pickup Group. The UCM supports Pickup Group feature, which allows users to pick up incoming calls for other extensions if they are in the same pickup group. Users in the same pickup group can pick up no answering calls of other extensions without actually going to the phone itself. The default feature code for call pickup extension is *8. Otherwise, if the person intending to pick up the call knows the ringing extension, they can use 2 stars followed by the extension number to perform the call pickup operation. If 2 calls are received by 2 phones in the pickup group and the third phone uses *8 to pick up the call, the first call that had been received is the one that will be picked up. Now we're going to talk about paging and intercom. Paging and intercom are ways to broadcast an announcement over one or more speakers. These could be the speakerphones on a desk phone in an office, a mounted speaker in a warehouse, or in an outdoor area. These pages can be originated from any connected device, such as a desk phone or even a doorbell. Let's talk first about paging. Paging allows users to ring a group of extensions and make an announcement via the phone speaker. The called party will not need to pick up the handset as the audio will be played via the phone speaker. The person paging will not hear any audio back from the people being paged. Intercom feature allows a phone system user to make an announcement to a single or a group of extensions. In this scenario, the audio is two-way and the called party can respond immediately without picking up the handset. Paging and intercom can be also scheduled on the UCM, and you can choose the right prompt as the announcement. Let's discover together the types of paging and intercom that we have. Like I have explained before, paging is a one-way communication, so people hear the message but cannot respond to it. While the intercom is a two-way communication, you can hear the message and respond back to it. There are other types of paging and intercom supported by the UCM. For the multicast, paging is a way of communication where you let different SIP users to listen to a page from a common multicast IP address. Announcement paging is a way of communication that can be unicast or multicast, and the difference from multicast paging is that this can be scheduled, and you can schedule when the message will be paged to the selected extensions. Private intercom is a paging type that is meant to be used with Grandstream GSC 3510. In a private intercom, the initiator can be heard by all parties. The initiator can hear only one of the intercom members, which is determined by whose audio is initially detected. Audio from other members cannot be heard until the first responder is done talking. Intercom members can hear only the initiator's audio and no other intercom members. Now let's move on to Operator Panel. The Operator Panel is a feature that enables certain extensions to monitor calls, extensions, ring groups, call queues, parking lots, and voicemail groups. Once the UCM administrator assigned an extension to monitor the entities that we have mentioned, the user of the extension will be able to access the monitoring panel either on Wave desktop clients or on the Wave web application. And next we have the Announcement Center. Announcement Center allows users to record and store voice messages in the UCM 6000 with a specified code. And the user can also create groups with specified extensions. When the code and the group number is dialed together, the specified voice message is sent to all the group members and only extensions in the group will hear the voice message. And then we're going to talk about the Follow Me feature. The UCM offer a feature called Follow Me, which allows users to direct calls to other phone numbers and have them ring all at once or one after the other. Calls can be directed to users' home phone, office phone, mobile, etc. The calls will get to the user no matter where they are. As you can see in the figure in the slide, the UCM sends the incoming call to the dialed extension, and if the call wasn't answered from that extension after a ring timeout, the UCM will send the call to a second extension, and again, if there is no answer, then the UCM will send the call to an external number. This operation, like I have said before, will help with the UCM user to get the call no matter where they are. Users can configure the destination in case no one in Follow Me answers the call. The available destinations are extension, voicemail, queues, ring group, voicemail group, IVR, external number. And next we're going to talk about Call Flip. Call Flip is a feature available in the UCM 6300 series that allows the user to seamlessly switch between two devices. Let's say that you have received a call on Wave on your mobile phone. You can quickly continue that specific call on a Wave desktop client or on your GrandStream desk phone. This switch of devices happens seamlessly without hanging up the call. Your correspondent will not even notice that you have switched from one device to another. And we're gonna talk about distinctive ringtones. UCM 6000 supports distinctive ringtone when an inbound call is incoming from call queue, IVR, inbound router extensions. The UCM will actually have a different ringtone for each of one of these elements, for example, as call queue, IVR, inbound route, and extension. And the feature that we're going to be looking at next is speed dial. The UCM supports speed dial feature that allows users to call a certain destination by pressing 1 or 4 digits. This creates a system-wide speed dial access for all extensions on the UCM. Users can go to speed dial configuration page from the UCM web interface and select a dial destination from default destination. The supported destinations include extension, voicemail, meeting room, voicemail group, IVR, ring group, call queue, page group, fax, DISA, dial by name, and external number. And then we're going to talk about the dial by name feature. Dial by name is a feature on the UCM that allows caller to search a person by first or last name via his or her phone's keypad. The administrator can define the dial by name directory, including the desired extensions in the directory and searching type by first name or last name. After dialing in, the PBX IVR or auto attendant will guide the caller to spell the digits to find the person in the dial by name directory. This feature allows customers and clients to use the guided automatic system to contact the enterprise employees without having to know the extension number, which brings convenience and improves business image for the enterprise. After dialing in and selecting dial by name option from the IVR, the caller will be prompted to enter first 3 letters mapped to digits from the keypad to find the person in the dial by name directory. UCM 6000 dial by name feature is very useful when companies don't want to reveal internal extensions numbers and want to have a restricted list of employees be accessible by callers from outside. In the case where there are 2 people with the same first name, users can reach the right person by entering the first letters of the person's last name. And now we're going to talk about Busy Camp On. Busy Camp On is a feature where the PBX will camp on a called party and inform the caller as soon as the called party becomes available, given the previous attempted call could not be successfully established. As you can see in the figure on the slide, when trying to reach an extension which is already busy, the caller could request the UCM 6000 to camp on the called party by dialing the call completion request code. Then the UCM 6000 will give a call to the caller as soon as the called party becomes available by answering the call from the UCM 6000. A call from the caller to the called party will be initiated automatically by the UCM 6000 to complete the call. The question here that we ask is, how does the UCM determine if the called extension is available? This is what we're going to see in the next slide. The UCM will initiate callback when the previously unavailable extension becomes available. It uses the following conditions to detect if the extension is available or not. If extension B was busy when it had been called, extension B is considered as available after the previously active call hangs up. If extension B rejected the call or the call went to timeout when it had been called, extension B is considered as available after a new call is completed. This means extension B must initiate a new call or answer another incoming call. When the new call hangs up, extension B is considered as available. And now we're going to talk about a very useful feature, which is DISA. In situations where the user is not connected to the system locally or remotely over internet, but still needs to use the system resources, the UCM 6000 offers DISA as a feature that can be used to allow the user to reach the system by calling into it from his or her own cell phone or landline and initiate calls to system extensions using analog or voice over IP trunks. So basically, the UCM 6000 offers DISA, direct inward system access, to allow users getting access to the system resources, including analog and VoIP trunks, and initiate calls using them with no need of internet connection, Therefore, the user will not be charged on the phone service for long distance or international calls. As you can see in the figure, you just need to dial the DID number in the UCM from your cell phone or your landline. The UCM should also be pre-configured with DISA to be able to reach it, and then the UCM will ask you to enter the DISA password so you can be able to dial through the UCM. And now we're going to talk about another feature, which is callback. Callback is mainly designed for users who often use their mobile phones to make long distance or international calls, which may have high service charges. The callback feature provides an economic solution that reduces the call cost. As you can see from the figure, callback will directly lead the user to DISA. The first step is to dial the PSTN number of the UCM from your cell phone. Once you hear the ringback tone, you hang up and the UCM will call you back after some seconds, and after you pick up the call, you will be directed to DISA or to the IVR. In this way, the calls are placed and connected through trunks on the UCM 6000 instead of the mobile phone or landline directly. Therefore, the user will not be charged on the phone services for long distance or international calls. The next feature that we're going to talk about is Ring Group. The UCM supports Ring Group feature that makes the user able to initiate a call to a big number of extensions by dialing one number. These phones should be included in the same Ring Group to receive the call, and different ring strategies can be applied to Ring Group members. Up to 100 members per group, the maximum number of members that can be added to a Ring Group is 100 members. A parallel or serial ring-in mode, users can choose ring strategy as either simultaneously or in order. Simultaneously means ring in all the members at the same time. In order means ring in the members with the order configured in the Ring Group. If the first member doesn't answer, it will stop ringing and start ringing the second one. Custom prompt. Users can set a custom prompt for a Ring Group to announce to caller. Auto record. Users can enable recording automatically the calls on the Ring Group. When no one in the Ring Group answers the call will be redirected to a pre-configured destination. And next, we're going to talk about the features related to call center. Today, many small, medium, and large-sized businesses are choosing more on-premises IT solutions. As for the telephony systems, voice over IP has emerged in the last years as major technology, providing all necessary features that businesses require for their internal communication as well as external communication. Grandstream Networks has built into its well-known UCM 6000 series IP-PBX many call center features that businesses are requesting, and Grandstream is committed to continue adding more of those features to attend to its customers' needs. Some of these features are virtual queue, call queue position announcement, estimated wait time announcement, welcome prompt, call queue statistics, switchboard for all the agents. We're going to learn in the next slides about each one of these features and functionalities. And the first component that we're going to talk about is the call queue agents. The call queue agents are the people assigned to a queue to receive the calls directed to them, and there are two types of call queue agents. There are static and dynamic agents. Static agents are always in the queue and do not need to log in or out. They are assigned to a specific queue by the administrator. Dynamic agents can move between queues and they have the flexibility to dynamically log in and log out from the call queue. The maximum number of agents that can be in a call queue depends on the model of the UCM. UCM 6202 supports up to 22 agents in a call queue. UCM 6204 supports up to 23 agents in a call queue. UCM 6208 supports up to 34 agents in the call queue. UCM 6510 supports up to 75 agents. The UCM 6301 and the UCM 6300A supports up to 25 max static agents in the call queue. For the UCM 6302 and UCM 6302 audio, they both support up to 50 max static agents in the call queue. For the UCM 6304 and the UCM 6304A, they both support up to 80 max static agents in the call queue. And for UCM 6308 and UCM 6308A, they both support 160 max static agents. Now we're going to talk about the call distribution strategy. A call distribution strategy or a call queue strategy is the strategy that dictates how the PBX will distribute incoming calls to the agents. And UCM supports automatic call distribution with many different strategies that can be set under basic options of each call queue separately. The first strategy we have is ring all. And what it does actually, it rings all the available agents simultaneously until one of them answers. For linear, the calls will ring at agent phones following an order previously configured, and it's only available for static agents. Least recent, the system selects the agents who have not answered the phone for the longest period. Fewest calls, the system assigns the call to the agent with the lowest number of calls answered. For random, it rings a random agent. For round robin, ring the agents in round robin scheduling with memory. It basically works with forwarding the incoming call to the first person in the line. And here are more features that we have in the call features that we're going to look at quickly since these features are not very complicated. The virtual queue feature, which is the most important for call centers and which makes calling people to keep their spots in the call queue and to manage a big number of calls. Position announcement feature, it makes it possible for the calling people to know their position on the queue and users can configure the frequency of the announcement. Wait time announcement feature, which will approximately announce to callers the time they need to wait for the call to be received by an agent. You should note that when the estimated time is less than 1 minute, the wait time won't be announced to the caller. Welcome prompt, which is basically an audio file that will be played to callers when being directed to a call queue. Queue callback is a feature that allows people to quit the call when their position is still far away, and when their turn comes, the UCM will call them back. Users can set 3 options for virtual call queue callback key settings. Callback current number. By default, the key is star and it can be customized. Once the configured key is pressed, the caller will be able to set his current phone number as callback number. Custom callback number. By default, it's 0 and can be customized. Once the configured key is pressed, the caller will be able to customize the callback number. Continue waiting. By default, it's pound key and can be customized. Once the configured key is pressed, the caller will keep himself in the virtual queue and will wait for an agent to be free to receive their call. For each one of the created call queues, you can assign 1, 2, or 3 chairmen who are basically the supervisors of the call queue and its agents, and they can also act as agents when needed. The queue chairman can log into the UCM user portal with their extension numbers to check all the details about agents, the call received to the call queue, and all other statistics. All the necessary call features for call centers are provided by the UCM, like call hold, call transfer, 3-way conferencing, call park, and more. These features can be performed either using standard feature keys or codes on the phones. For example, the agent can use transfer button on his phone to transfer the call or use the UCM correspondent feature code for call hold to put the call on hold. Please note that for this first option, make sure to enable feature codes under call queue advanced settings. These features can also be performed using a switchboard. The agents can access to his or her user portal under call queue CTI, where they can see active calls and have option buttons to operate and control the calls. More details will be provided later in this presentation. Now let's talk about Barge feature, which is a very useful feature in a call center environment. It's a feature supported on the UCM, and what it does basically, it offers the ability to listen to agents' calls, whisper to the agents, and barge into the call itself. This action can be performed using different feature codes or from the web interface of the UCM. Like it has been said, different modes are supported for call barge feature. And the first one we're going to mention is listen. In listen mode, monitor's extension can hear both parties in the active call, but the monitor's audio won't be heard by either side of the monitored active call. Default feature code is star 54. Whisper. In whisper mode, monitor's extension can hear both parties in the active call, but monitor's audio can only be heard by the monitored extension. Default feature code is star 55. For barge, in barge mode, monitor's extension can talk to both parties in the active call. The call will be established like a 3-way conference. The default feature code is star 56. And now we're going to talk about the switchboard. UCM has a simple and easy to use switchboard for real-time monitoring of call queues and performing different operations, which includes list the waiting calls, list the proceeding calls, manipulating proceeding calls, and list agents status. And we have the agents dashboard. Users could log into the WebGUI portal using the extension number and the user password. When an extension is created in the UCM 6000, the corresponding user's account for the extension is automatically created. The user portal allows access to a variety of features which include user information, extension configuration, and CDR, as well as settings and managing value-added features like WebRTC, fax sending, call queue, wake-up service, and CRM. And next, we're going to talk about Queue Satisfaction Survey. The Queue Satisfaction Survey is a feature that allows collecting feedback from clients. The client will hear a voice prompt that invites the user to enter a number from 1 to 5, 5 representing that the customer is extremely satisfied with the service, and 1 representing that the client is extremely dissatisfied with the service. All the data collected from the clients will be available in the UCM 6000 Web Graphical User Interface. The call queue statistics provided by the UCF have some very useful filtering options that can be used to get every detailed information about the performance of each queue separately or the full system. Overview: it's a general report that includes total received calls, abandoned calls, and more. Agent details is a call log that shows every call to each individual agent from all queues, and you will have the visibility on time, which means the date and time of when the call was received, the agent, which agent that was rung for the call, the queue, which means on which queue the call has been received, the caller ID number, the CID of the caller. Abandoned indicates whether the call was picked up or not by that specific agent. If the call rang several agents simultaneously and this specific agent did not pick up the call will be considered abandoned if a different agent in the same queue picked it up. The wait time is the amount of time that the call was waiting in queue after dialing in. The talk time, the duration of the call after it was picked up by the agent. Also, we have login record, which is a report that shows the timestamps of dynamic agent logins and logouts and calculates the amount of time the dynamic agents were logged in. Dynamic agents are extensions that log in or out via agent login and logout codes configured in Global Queue Settings page or by using the GXP 2100 series call queue soft key. A new record will be created only when an agent logs out. The information available in this section are agent, which is the extension that logged in and logged out, queue, the queue that extension logged in and logged out of, login time, the time that extension logged into the queue, logout time, the time that the extension logged out of the queue, login duration, the total length of the time that the extension was logged in. Pause log is a report that shows the times of agent pauses and unpauses and calculates the amount of time that agents are paused. If an agent is a part of several queues, an entry will be created for each queue. An entry will only be created after an agent unpauses. The information available in this part are many, such as agent, the extension that paused and unpaused, queue, the queue that the agent is in, pause time, the time that the agent paused, resume time, the time that the agent unpaused, pause duration, the total length of the time the agent was paused for. And next we are going to talk about the service level agreement. Service level agreement is a feature in the UCM 6300 series that ensures call and answered within the optimal time. This time can be configured based on the company's policy. Once a percentage of calls are not answered within the defined time, the UCM 6300 will send an email notification to the configured email. The threshold of the percentage of the calls that aren't answered within that time can also be configured. And now we're going to talk about fax service. Fax service is one of the most useful and important UCM 6000 features that allows the user to send and receive fax files. The UCM 6000 IP-PBX series support T.30 for legacy analog fax transmission, along with T.38 and pass-through for fax over IP. The UCM series supports three ways of sending fax, and we will talk about each one of them separately in the next slides. These ways are through a physical fax machine, uploading fax file via UCM Web UI, or using email. Let's start with the first one, which is directly connecting a fax physical machine to the UCM through the FXS interface available in the UCM. Let's start with the first one, which is directly connecting a fax physical machine to the UCM through the FXS interface available on the UCM. The fax transmission originates from the physical fax machine as the T.30 fax. Then the built-in T.38 gateway module in the UCM 6000 translates the fax transmission to the T.38 format and sends it over to the IP network to the other UCM 6000. The second server translates back the transmission to T.30 and sends it to the attached fax machine or over the PSTN line for external numbers. The second way is the fax sending from the web interface of the UCM. The UCM model supports sending fax via WebGUI access. In order to send fax, prior setup for analog trunk and outbound route is required, and after making sure that the trunk or voice over IP trunk is set up properly and the UCM can reach out to PSTN numbers via the trunk, on fax sending page, we can enter the fax number and upload the file to be faxed. Then click on Send to start. The progress of sending fax will be displayed in the WebGUI, and you can also view the sending history is in the same page, as you can see from the screenshot in the slide. The third way of sending a fax is the email to fax feature that makes users able to send fax files only using their email box. What you need to know is that it's required for users to configure the email settings on the UCM and enable the email to fax feature. Once enabled, the UCM will monitor the configured email box for email with the specific subject. As you can see in the slide, the subject is send fax mail. Please note that you have to write it exactly as it's written on the screenshot, and please keep in mind that it's case sensitive. So the subject would be send fax mail to 7200, which is basically the extension that we want to send the fax to. The UCM will extract the attachment of detected emails and send it to extension by fax whenever an email with a similar subject is detected. And you can also configure the UCM to detect the fax email when sending an email with only the fax extension in the email subject. And next, we're going to talk about Wake Up Service. Wake Up Service can be used to schedule a reminder or wake-up call to any valid destination. There are several commercial organizations that provide the service for a fee. Others, such as hotels and convention centers, provide a free wake-up service using an automated system. This feature is available to be configured on the UCM, and it can be configured by either the admin to any extension available on the UCM or from the user portal as consumer account in order to configure for the same extension. In addition to configuring it using the web interface, user can also configure it using only feature codes from the phone directly. For more information about that, please visit our documentation center. And next, we're going to talk about Shared Call Appearance. Shared Call Appearance, often abbreviated as SCA, is a functionality that is available on the UCM 6000, and it can be used to assign multiple devices to one extension, emulating legacy PBX line system with the possibility to configure endpoints to monitor that extension or line, make action on behalf of that extension, such as viewing call status, and placing and receiving calls, and even barging into existing calls. This is not to be confused with SIP forking, because even if they look alike, they are different in terms of functionality. With SIP forking, users can configure the same SIP extension in different devices and phones in order to receive calls without having the ability to make actions like shared call appearance. With SCA, users can assign multiple devices to one extension, emulating legacy PBX line system with the possibility to configure endpoints to monitor the extension. We have Alice, Bob, and John are sharing the same line appearance using SCA feature. The main line extension number will be 3001 used by Alice. Bob and John will share the same line with Alice with the following private numbers respectively: 3333 and 4444. When there is an incoming external call, all three phones should ring and one can pick up the call. Callers can barge into each other's calls. Each member should have the choice to either privately put the call on hold or put it in public hold so that other members can pick it up. The member should be able to monitor the line status from their phone's display. And next, we're going to talk about CDR. CDR, or Call Detail Record, is a data record generated by the PBX that contains attributes specific to a single instance of phone call handled by the PBX. It has several data fields to provide detailed description for the call, such as phone number of the calling party, phone number of the receiving party, start time, call duration, etc. Users could filter the call report by specifying the date range and criteria, depending on how the users would like to include the logs in the report. Click on Search button to display the generated report. You should also note that you can download the CDR file with all the information, or you can customize the information you want in your file to contain before exporting it. Users could configure to clean the call detail report, voice records, voicemails, fax automatically, and these are the parameters that users must configure to start the automatic cleaning of CDR. Clean time, to specify the exact time you want the cleaning to be done, for instance, after working hours when the UCM is not being used. We also have cleaning condition. By schedule, if the cleaning interval is 3, cleaning will be performed every 3 days to remove all records that were generated 3 days ago. Keep last X records. If the maximum number of CDR has been reached, CDR will be deleted starting from the oldest entry at the configured cleaning time. Keep last X days, delete all entries older than X days, and clean interval to specify the cleaning frequency in days.